Hello guys, welcome to MJ Real Stories channel. Today we are exploring one of the most chilling, emotional, and deeply misunderstood chapters in Michael Jackson's life. A story that has haunted fans for years and continues to raise uncomfortable questions even today. The idea that Michael Jackson may have predicted his own ending is not based on conspiracy alone, but on words he spoke, recordings that still exist, and moments where his voice carried a fear and awareness that many people ignored while he was alive. This is a story about intuition, pressure, and a man who felt time closing in long before the world was ready to listen. Michael Jackson was not just an entertainer, he was an observer. From a very young age, he learned to read people, energy, and intentions. Fame forced him to mature early, and with that maturity came a heightened sense of awareness. In interviews, rehearsals, and private conversations, Michael often spoke about feeling hunted, misunderstood, and targeted. These were not the words of paranoia alone, but reflections of a life lived under constant scrutiny. He once said that he felt people wanted to destroy him, not because of who he was, but because of what he represented. There are audio recordings where Michael's voice sounds tired, cautious, and reflective. In some of them, he speaks about not having much time left, about needing to finish certain projects, and about being careful with whom he trusted. When fans listen to these recordings today, the words hit differently. At the time, they sounded like exhaustion. Now, they sound like a warning. Michael was aware of his fragile position in a world that both worshipped and consumed him. Michael often talked about destiny and purpose. He believed his life had a mission beyond music, that he was meant to spread love, heal pain, and speak for the voiceless. But with that belief came an understanding that people who challenge systems rarely escape unscathed. He spoke about great figures in history who were silenced when they became too influential. These were not casual remarks. They were part of a pattern in his thinking, a belief that the world does not always protect those who try to change it. One of the most unsettling aspects of Michael's words is how often he referenced endings. He spoke about being pushed too hard, about his body failing him, and about needing rest that never came. In rehearsals for his final shows, witnesses recall him talking about wanting to give his all, even if it cost him everything. That sentence alone now feels heavy with meaning. It was as if Michael believed his final act would be his greatest, and possibly his last. Michael's fear was not death itself, but betrayal. He often said that the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. In audio clips and notes, he expressed concern about doctors, advisors, and managers making decisions without his best interests at heart. He felt trapped by contracts, obligations, and expectations that did not allow him to slow down or heal. This sense of being cornered created a mental state where the idea of an ending no longer felt distant. There is an audio recording where Michael calmly explains that he does not trust the system around him. He talks about needing to document his thoughts so the truth would one day come out. This is one of the recordings fans point to when they say Michael knew something was wrong. His voice is soft but firm, as if he is leaving breadcrumbs behind. He understood that words can survive when people cannot. Michael Jackson lived with constant pressure. Every move he made was analyzed, criticized, and monetized. This pressure was not just external, it lived inside him. He wanted perfection not for applause, but because he believed excellence was a responsibility. However, perfectionism combined with exhaustion is dangerous. Michael often said he was tired, not just physically, but spiritually. He felt drained by negativity, accusations, and the endless fight to prove his innocence and humanity. In private conversations, Michael reportedly spoke about wanting peace. He imagined a life away from cameras, from courtrooms, from expectations. He dreamed of simple things like walking freely, raising his children in safety, and creating without fear. When someone dreams of peace so intensely, it often means they are living in constant turmoil. Michael's words suggest he knew that peace might only come when the noise stopped completely. The idea that Michael predicted his own ending becomes even more haunting when you consider how methodical he was about legacy. He spoke often about how he wanted to be remembered, about how history would judge him, and about truth eventually rising above lies. This is not how most people speak unless they are aware of their mortality. Michael was planning for a future he suspected he might not be part of. His final rehearsals were described as intense, emotional, and unusually focused. Those around him said he was giving everything, as if driven by urgency. He corrected details, pushed through pain, and spoke about wanting the show to be a gift. Some even said it felt like a goodbye. At the time, these comments were brushed off as artistic passion. In hindsight, they feel like preparation. Michael's relationship with sleep, medication, and health also reflects someone who felt trapped in a cycle he could not escape. He spoke about insomnia, anxiety, and fear. These were not weaknesses, they were symptoms of a life lived without safety. In audio recordings, his tone suggests he knew his body was under strain, yet he felt powerless to stop the machine around him. What makes this story so disturbing is not just that Michael spoke about endings, but that no one truly listened. His words were dismissed as stress, exaggeration, or eccentricity. The world expected Michael Jackson to survive everything because he always had before. But resilience has limits, and even legends have breaking points. Michael Jackson's story forces us to ask uncomfortable questions about fame, pressure, and responsibility. When someone tells you they are not okay, do you listen, or do you assume they are strong enough to handle it? Michael left behind clues, warnings, and reflections. Whether you believe he predicted his own ending or simply felt overwhelmed by life, one truth remains undeniable. He was aware that something was wrong. In the end, Michael Jackson did not speak about death to create fear. He spoke about it to express vulnerability. He wanted understanding, protection, and truth. The audio that still exists today is not proof of prophecy, but proof of humanity. It is the voice of a man asking to be heard in a world that preferred the myth over the person. Michael's legacy is not just in his music, but in the lessons his life teaches us. Pay attention to the quiet warnings. Protect those who give too much, and remember that even the brightest stars can burn out when the weight becomes too heavy. His words remain echoing through time, reminding us that sometimes the ending is felt long before it arrives. Thanks for watching.